Hi, my name is Terry Sally. I live here in South Orange. Years ago, I moved from Brooklyn. Family wanted to come. They said it was better for me. So here I am. But it's a lovely place. South Orange, I fell in love. So today I'm going to tell a little story about myself. There's many stories about me, but I'm going to tell one particular, and it's sort of funny. I never forgot it. And there's days I think back about that story. It happened in public school. And I was in the 4th grade, never forgot. I was in the 4th grade, and I had a beautiful teacher. She had red hair, and her name was Miss Kaplan. So I was really gaga about Miss Kaplan, which, she was really a lovely person. Anyway, there was a young lady in my class named Juliet. I never forgot her. And she had long braids, long pigtails. And I used to sit right behind her, and I used to play with the pigtails. Fascinating. So Miss Kaplan used to turn around from the blackboard sometime, and she'd catch me playing with the braids, and she would tell me, "Terry, stop playing with her braids." "Yes, Miss Kaplan." She would go back to the blackboard, and she'd write some more. Matter of fact, it was a math class. So between glimpses of the math and the figures on the board, I was back to Juliet's hair. And I had an ink well. At the time, you had ink wells on the desk. Just out of devilment, I took one braid and I tipped it in the ink. And so Juliet kept pulling her braid, and stop! She made so much noise that Miss Kaplan finally had enough. And she walks over to my desk, she grabs me by the ear, and up to the front of the classroom. Now I'm embarrassed. I'm shocked. I don't know what to do. She said, "Now, Mr. Terry, what was the last number I put on the blackboard?" I said, "I don't know." She said, "But you're so busy playing with Juliet's braid, you didn't pay any attention to what I was telling you." So she said, "Okay, I'm gonna give you a hint." She went back to the blackboard, and she took the chalk and she wrote 3, 3, 3. So I looked, I said, "Oh, that's easy." She said, "What is that?" I said, "Oh, 3, 3, 3. So wise, 3, 3, 3. And everybody in the class laughed, ha, ha, ha. So I'm wondering, what's wrong? I said 3, 3, 3. She said, "I'm actually one more time. What is it? What's the number?" I said 3, 3, 3. She got the ruler. She said, "Hold out your hand for not paying attention." Whack! And what's the number? 3, 3, 3. Now I'm really going crazy. I don't know. 3, 3, 3. So somebody in the class said, "It's 333, dummy." I said, "Oh, that's it." Miss Kaplan said, "You stand in the corner until I tell you to sit down. Now remember that number." I said, "Yes, 3, 3, 3. With numbers, I found out later on, I had a hard time at school with numbers. I think it was a sort of a block. I think that always came back a little bit about numbers. I had to work a little extra for that as I went on, and higher grades. So I think that had something to do with my introduction to what I got involved with that particular day. But it was a little something. But the Juliet and the braids. I think it all came together, with a lot of things in life. you don't think about at the time, but later on, I think it does affect you one way or the other, subconsciously. You know, it's something that, you know, you probably have to talk to a doctor about it later on, but it did bother me later on. I always thought about them numbers, that if I'd have been paying attention to 333 when she was talking at the board instead of playing, I would have heard that. I would have picked up on that, but I didn't. So it stuck with me. I never forgot that. Well, she was giggling, and you know, what else? I finally got caught, and now I was being punished, and she was glad. You know, she had long braids, but they were big braids. There's 2 braids, pigtails went down the back. That's right, she got ink. I only did one though. Dipped it in the ink a little bit. It was on her blouse later on, but I didn't say anything. I would have got hit for that. Oh, I had enough for the day. So that was just a little thing you remember, you know, going back. It was a long time ago, but I never forgot that.
Hello, my name is Arlene Johnson. I'm a resident of South Orange, and prior to that was a resident of Livingston for over 40 years. So I've been in the area for a long time, and have always enjoyed watching the Christmas decorations go up. In Livingston, there's a huge decoration that used to be put up by a family that lived behind us. And it was so spectacular that the streets would be crowded and the police would have to come out to guide traffic in order to see that huge display. And I actually served as mayor of Livingston for a while. And during the time that I was mayor, we acquired that display, and now it belongs to the town of Livingston, and we put it up every year opposite the police station. But so this time of year I was thinking about decorations and Christmas, and as my husband and I were putting up the Christmas tree, I started thinking about the stories behind each little ornament, that almost every ornament has a story of some kid making it, or of when we bought it, or where it came from. And there's one especially that really looks terrible now, but is so meaningful to our family. It's made from a gourd about this high that's been dried and then carved out and painted in very bright colors. We bought it in Central America, I think in Guatemala, on a trip there. And hollowed out, it was hollowed out in a way that inside the gourd, in all these colors, is a little nativity scene with Mary and Joseph and the baby in a manger and a couple shepherds and wise men standing around, all little miniature inside this gourd. And we thought, well, this is a nice souvenir, we'll buy it. It won't take much space in the suitcase. We can carry it home. It isn't heavy. So we packed it very carefully, carried it around for a week or 2 in Central America, tucked away in the suitcase, brought it home, put it away, and Christmas came, and we took out our wonderful souvenir to hang on the tree. And I was, oh, what's happened? I think we brought home a little mouse or something with us, because every single face was chewed away, just the faces, chewed away, nibbled. So the figure was there, it was recognizable as a nativity scene, but no faces, except for the baby Jesus, who was totally intact. And I remember as we explained to our children what had happened to this, my younger daughter, Anna, said, "It's a miracle!" And so now every year when we hang the gourd, this wretched looking gourd, on the tree, we say, "It's a miracle!"
I grew up in a project. Matter of fact, one of the first projects that were built in New York. One of them, you know, few that when they started the program. And everybody said projects. But I like to tell you why they call it a project, because all races of people was living there. I went to school with Italians, Irish, Chinese families. We all lived in the project. It was a 6-story building, you know, different areas. but it was a project. That was the call. It was a project to see if people could live together and work together. And it worked, because from that, you saw what happened with the projects. You look at today. So it was really a big challenge, but it worked out. Moses and the rest of the guys who put together that, Moses was in charge of parkways and everything in New York. And the project was one of his babies too that he touched on. And we talk today how people can't seem to get along, but that project, I still remember the kids from my class, and we went to school, right up to high school, and in the 50s, a lot of people started moving away because the veterans was coming back from Korea, and naturally they was buying houses in Long Island. And that's where a lot of people start making the transition to Long Island. So hardly, if you wasn't a veteran, just about, you had to stay where you were, if your family, and that's what happened. The project was spanking new, brand new. When I came into my building, I remember it had a typist. She was typing in the apartment that we were going to take. She was typing in there, and they were showing us the rooms and everything. And we lived on Pacific Street. And Pacific Street was weird because we had a stove, we had a coal stove, I remember, because they used to put the chute down in the basement, and the coal used to go and fill up in the basement, and we used to go down with the pail and fill up the pail to bring up the coal to put in the stove. And so I used to go around, all the extra coal I could find, I pick up, because Daddy said that was money. So I grabbed up all the extra coals that they spilled and pick them up and put them in, But from Pacific Street, being that he had a family, my father, it was, I was the first, and my brother, but my brother and I was the first, and we moved into the projects because we had a family, they was letting families in first, and that's how we got in there. So we was there. I was there till I went into the service.
Really?
Yeah, very experienced, and it kept clean. Everything was clean. I look at the projects today, and I can't believe what's going on. With the ceilings falling, and it's a shame how things are going with that now. We had hot water, and they used to come in, the maintenance guys, if you weren't home, they come in, they knock on the door, maintenance. And my mother used to go to work, so leave us in the house, my brother and I. And when they knock on the door, we run under the bed. It's like the boogeyman was coming in or something. And they had the key, they had a master key. They come into your apartment. If they was gonna fix anything, they fixed it or whatever. And after that, they write out a note, leave it on the counter, and we watch them walk around the legs. And then out they go, they close the door. And when Mom come home, we said, Mom, there was a man in the house. And it was good. It was a lot of fun growing up. They had a lot of laws and stuff about, don't do this, don't walk on the grass, don't stand on the benches, no bicycle riding through the project. I did that one time and I got in trouble. My father bought us a used bike. We cried so much about bicycles. He bought a used bike for us, my brother and I. And they had housing cops, but they wore gray uniforms, long coats, hats, nightstick. They didn't have no guns, but they had a big nightstick. And I was riding through the project on my bike, ooh. And this cop, we used to call him Bowleg because he was bow-legged. So we call him Bowlegs. And I was coming through the projects, and Bowlegs took his nightstick and he stuck it in my spokes of the bike. And I did one of these. Oh. So I busted my lip, bruised my arm. The wheel was bent on the bike, and I was worried about my father when he found out about it. That's what I was worried about. And so somebody ran home and told my father, because they took me down to they had a ramp with an office down there where they sat and everything. They took me down there in the bite, and about a half hour later, whatever, my father came down. He was hot. I'm worried about my arm and everything. He was worried about the bite. He was looking at the bite all banged up and everything. He just bought it. And so he got at the patrolman about doing what he did. He said that the only way you could stop a kid on a bite is to jam the bite with a stick, and look what you did, the damage you caused. And he said, I'm going to talk to your boss, and they're going to pay for this, because that wasn't necessary. My father was really hot. And they wind up working it out that they would fix the bite and everything, and no complaints, everything would be okay if we just took it that way, you know. So I had a bruised ego, but Pop took me home, you know, whack on the back of the head a couple of times, you know, and don't you know that bite cost me so much money, blah, blah, blah. And that was it for a while. So, but there was a lot of little stories that happened in the project, because it was a new place, a lot of space to run and do things, and you really missed it. They came back from the war, the families was in the project more or less, and the GI Bill was really becoming popular, so they had a choice to buy a house, and they saw a way to go. You know, you're living in a project, it was just like a step up from the street. This about, you know, it was an improvement over the way you were living. So naturally they took the money with the GI Bill and they ran. Well, yeah, I lost quite a few friends who moved out after that, you know. It was funny because one family, the Barone family, John Barone and his brothers and I was in the same class. There were three brothers, John Barone, Booby. I don't know if that was Booby's real name, but he called him Booby. Booby and Armando, Booby, and John. And Booby was in my class in junior high school and public school. So we was really good friends, you know, played ball, everything, you know, in the park. It was really great. And it was weird because when they started getting ready to move, they were crying. Booby was, not Booby, but Armando was crying because he had so many friends and he was going someplace he didn't know, you know. And it was years later after that after I came back from the service, I joined the police department, okay? And I was in a special unit. They was trying, it's like a tactical unit because of my height. At the time, I was about 180, 190 pounds, so they were looking for guys 6 foot and, you know, for this tactical outfit. And I say it's better doing that than get off the street. You know, you're walking a beat in the night, in the winter, in the cold, you know. So I said, sure, I'll take it, you know. So I did take that, and a couple of years later, a young man came in, and I'm looking, I'm saying, wow. So I said, no, that can't be. So the lieutenant assigned him. It was assigned to another car, and I'm looking at, when I heard the name, I said, Armando Booby. Barone was the last name. I said, Barone. I told the Lieutenant, I know him. He said, yeah? I said, yeah, sign him to my car. I'll take him under my wing. He said, oh yeah, okay. I said, John Barone. They used to call you, had a nickname for him because he was always crying all the time. I couldn't think of the name now. But I wound up taking him with me to break him in to help what was going on, how to work and everything. And it just happened, went into the area of the Kingsborough projects, that night, because we had a car, we could go any place within the borough. Because it was a tactical outfit, so wherever the trouble was, we went. So we drove through the area, and he said, "I used to live over here." I said, "Yeah." And I told him all his brothers. And then he started coming back and said,
Wow.
"Yep," and that was it. The project had many stories, because you grew up there. So, you know, he had like, there was walks, they called, that's how they identified. The first walk, second walk, third walk. There were so many houses, the buildings within that section. So it was a rivalry, like, because first walk thought they were better than, I lived in the third walk, and somebody else lived in the fourth walk. It looked like that all the way up to the sixth walk. So everybody, it was always challenges, playing ball, anything. The third walk against the first walk, the fourth walk, playing football, anything, baseball. So it was good, you know, friendly rivalry, you know. Then you had some knuckleheads who always wanted to fight or whatever, you know. But it was, overall, it was pretty good, pretty good, yeah. Yep. So, I think that's it for me. What can I tell you?